Have you ever told yourself you really want to calm your mind, but then immediately thought the environment is all wrong? How can anyone meditate in a place like this? Have you ever secretly believed that only a quiet mountain temple, the perfect retreat center, or a silent room could help you awaken? And that as long as you live in a noisy city or a stressful life, real spiritual growth is basically impossible. Welcome back to the channel, my friend. I am really glad you are here, because today we are going to gently flip over one of the biggest misunderstandings on the path of practice. The original teaching behind this video begins with a simple but powerful message from an elderly meditation master to a group of students. Everywhere you go can be a meditation hall if you know how to use your mind. City noise, construction drills, traffic, the sound of neighbors arguing, even the throbbing of your own back pain or anxiety can become the door to awakening instead of the wall that blocks it. Most of us have been trained to believe the opposite. We think the mind is like a fragile glass gut that must be protected from every disturbance. We tell ourselves, I will practice when I move to a quieter neighborhood, when work slows down, when the kids grow up, when my health is better. We are waiting for a perfect arrangement of circumstances before we dare to start. But deep wisdom traditions point to something radically different. They say awakening is not something you wait for. It is something you practice with exactly the conditions you already have. If you cannot find awareness in the subway, it will be hard to truly keep it in the mountains. If you cannot sit with the ache in your knees during a short meditation, it will be hard to sit with the ache in your heart when life disappoints you. So in this long, story-based conversation, we will explore how everywhere can become a place of practice when you shift how you relate to sound, pain, and discomfort. We will look at how your idea of obstacles is often the real obstacle, how cause and effect operates in your reactions, and how compassion for yourself and all beings can grow right in the middle of traffic jams and deadlines. If you have ever given up halfway through a meditation because the neighbors started vacuuming, or if you have decided you are not cut out for practice because your body hurts and your mind is noisy, then this is for you. You might realize that the problem is not that your life is too messy for practice. The problem is that nobody taught you how to practice with the mess. Let us begin with a story in a meditation hall, and then quietly carry its meaning into the streets of the city. It is a simple afternoon at a small temple. The meditation hall is not grand, just a square room with wooden floors and plain cushions. A group of lay students are sitting in stillness. At the front, an elderly master sits, back straight, eyes half closed. His face is full of wrinkles, but when he smiles, his whole face lights up like a flower opening. For a while, the hall is quiet. Then, from outside, the sound of construction rises. Metal against metal, a drilling machine pounding into concrete, loud voices shouting instructions. The sound tears through the silence like a rip in cloth. Around the room, you can almost feel the students' minds reacting. Some frown, some clench their jaws. Someone sighs softly. Inside their heads, the same thought appears in different languages. Why now? Why here? How are we supposed to meditate like this? After the session, the master looks around with kind, clear eyes and asks a question that catches everyone by surprise. So, he says gently, "What did you hear just now?" People glance at each other. One student speaks up, half complaining, half joking. "Noise, master. Too much noise. How can we go deep in meditation with that kind of construction outside?" The master's smile widens. "Ah," he says, You heard noise. I heard a very energetic bell. Everyone laughs. He continues. When you think this is noise, this is bad. This ruins my meditation. You are already lost in your own judgment. You are not hearing the sound itself. You are hearing your resistance. But if you think, every sound is a bell reminding me to wake up, then each crash and each drill becomes an invitation. The outside sound is the same. The difference is one niyam, one thought in your mind. He pauses, letting that sink in. Do you want a practice that only works in a silent room? Or do you want a practice that you can carry into the city, into your office, into your own pain and confusion? If you only accept peace when the world is peaceful, your awakening will always be weak. Real wisdom grows when you can stay present while the world is not cooperating with your preferences. In that moment, some students feel something shift. The idea that noise itself could be a teacher, not an enemy, feels strange but also strangely liberating. Now, let us take this teaching out of the temple and into the city. Think about your own day. The alarm rings. Maybe you hit snooze once or twice. Already, in that half-sleepy moment, there is a choice. You can wake up with the thought, another terrible day. I am already tired. Or you can wake up with the thought, I am alive. There is breath. There is a mind that can practice. The alarm is the same sound. The first nyan leads to a day carried by resentment. The second nyan opens the door to gratitude and intention. You step out into the street. Cars, buses, motorcycles, horns, people talking loudly on their phones, dogs barking, children shouting. Usually, this is when your mind complains. So noisy, so annoying. I need quiet to be spiritual. But what if, just for a moment, you try something different? What if every horn becomes a reminder, wake up? You are alive right now. What if every engine's hum becomes a background vibration that you notice with curiosity instead of hate? What if, when you hear someone shouting, you silently wish, may they be at peace? The world did not become quieter. Your practice became deeper. This is not about pretending you like everything. It is about seeing that your suffering comes not only from the sounds themselves, but from the way your mind fights them. Cause and effect is always operating. Every time you respond to noise with irritation, you plant and water seeds of irritation. Your nervous system learns to react faster next time. The city becomes your enemy. But if you use the same noise as a training ground for patience and awareness, you plant different seeds. You slowly train your attention to stay steady even when conditions are rough. That is the kind of strength that will matter when real crises come. Now, let us move from outer noise to inner pain, because the original teaching makes another bold claim. Your bodily discomfort and emotional suffering are not just problems to fix. They can become secret doors to awakening if you learn how to sit with them. Imagine a woman named Lisa who has always believed she is bad at meditation because her knees hurt and her back aches whenever she sits. Her first few attempts at practice looked like this. She sits down, straightens her spine, closes her eyes, and within 30 seconds her mind begins a commentary. This is uncomfortable. My leg is numb. My back is killing me. I cannot do this. Other people are probably sitting like statues and I am the only one suffering. She shifts position, then shifts again. The more she moves, the more restless she feels. After 10 minutes, she gives up and decides that she will never be a good meditator. In her mind, the pain in her body is the enemy of practice. Her unspoken belief is, I will practice seriously when my body feels better. One day, she shares her frustration with an experienced teacher. She expects to be told to find a softer cushion, or to lie down, or to limit her practice to 2 minutes. Instead, the teacher suggests something strange. The next time you sit and the pain comes, he says, do not immediately run away from it, and do not immediately start complaining in your head. Instead, treat the pain as a teacher. Turn toward it with curiosity. Ask it where it begins and where it ends. Is it hot or cold? Sharp or dull? Constant or pulsing? Does it change when you breathe in undoubt? She looks at him, confused. But I am trying to get rid of the pain, she says. He smiles. That is exactly why it controls you. You have only 2 modes: rejecting it or being overwhelmed by it. There is a third mode: observing it. When you observe it clearly, you may discover that the pain is not just one solid block. It has texture, movement, and it's inside a much larger field of awareness. That awareness is not in pain. That awareness is your inner sky. The pain is just a cloud passing through. The next day, she tries. She sits. The familiar discomfort appears. Immediately, her mind starts its usual complaints. But this time she remembers the teacher's words. Instead of shifting position right away, she brings her attention to the pain in her knee, like a scientist observing something under a microscope. At first, it just feels like pain. After a few breaths, she notices more. The sensation is actually strongest on the outer side. It throbs in waves, and between the waves, there are brief moments where it is less intense. She also notices something else alongside the physical sensation. There is an emotional reaction, a voice that says, I hate this. I cannot stand it. This will never end. She realizes that much of her suffering comes from that voice, not just from the raw sensation. She stays for a few more breaths than she usually would. She does not force herself to endure beyond her capacity, but she also does not flee at the first sign of discomfort. After 15 minutes, she gently undens the session. Something surprising happens. Even though the pain was there, she does not feel like a failure. She feels, for the first time, a little bit proud that she did not immediately run. Over weeks of practice, the pain does not completely vanish, but her relationship to it changes. It becomes less of an enemy and more of a signal. When it appears, she knows it is a chance to practice steadiness and kindness toward herself. In this way, her meditation cushion becomes a training ground for her whole life. Later, when she faces emotional pain, like loneliness or criticism at work, she uses the same method. Instead of immediately switching on a distraction or attacking herself, she sits with the feeling and observes. Where is this sadness in my body? How does this anger move? What story is my mind telling on top of the raw feeling? She discovers that emotional pain, like physical pain, is not one solid block. It has waves. It is always changing, and the awareness that sees it is still larger than the feeling itself. This is how personal pain becomes a secret entrance into awakening. Not because you enjoy suffering, but because you stop turning away from it and instead use it to deepen your understanding of the mind. When you do this, you are practicing wisdom. You are also practicing compassion, because learning to sit with your own pain without instantly judging or escaping it makes you much more gentle with others when they suffer. Think of someone in your life who is always in motion, always busy, always filling every silence with noise or screens. Usually, behind that business there is a pain they are afraid to feel. They are running from their own heart. When you start to turn toward your own pain with courage and kindness, you are quietly changing your destiny. Cause and effect again. Every time you choose to face instead of flee, you plant seeds of strength and clarity. Those seeds grow into a different future, one in which you are less controlled by fear and more guided by understanding. Now, how does all of this play out in the middle of everyday life? Beyond the cushion, let us walk through a few very ordinary scenes. You are on a crowded bus. Someone is talking loudly on a video call without headphones. Another person is eating something with a strong smell. A child is crying. Your mind is tightening. Why are people so inconsiderate? I hate public transport. I cannot wait to get home and have some peace. It is easy to let the irritation run the show. You come home already in a bad mood and take it out on your family or your roommate. One noisy bus ride has now produced a chain of suffering. But here is the interesting thing: nobody forced your mind to interpret the situation that way. Yes, the sounds and smells are there. Yes, they are not pleasant. But between stimulus and reaction, there is that tiny gap where awareness can intervene. If you remember that every place is an opportunity to practice, you might try this instead. You feel the irritation rising. You notice your shoulders are tense. Your jaw is clenched. You take one slow breath. You silently say to yourself, "This is an opportunity to practice patience." All of us on this bus are just trying to get somewhere. The person on the phone has their own worries. The crying child is not trying to torture me. They are just overwhelmed. You do not force yourself to love the noise. You just widen the frame. Suddenly, the bus becomes not just a source of annoyance, but a moving meditation hall. You let the sounds come and go, like waves. You feel the vibration of the vehicle under your feet. You notice your breath. What has changed? The outer situation is the same. Your inner world is different. Your destiny for that evening is different. Instead of going home full of complaints, you may arrive a little softer, more aware, more grateful to step into a quieter space. Another scene. You are at your desk in a busy open office. Someone nearby types loudly. Another person is sniffing every few seconds. Your email is full of demands. Your head begins to pound. This is where many people say, "If only I could work in a peaceful environment, I would be more spiritual." But you have learned something: waiting for perfect conditions is a trap. So you push your chair back slightly, plant your feet on the ground, and for 30 seconds, you close your eyes or soften your gaze. You bring attention to the soles of your feet, the weight of your body on the chair, the coolness or warmth of the air. You let the office noises be just sounds, not personal attacks. You might silently repeat one sentence that connects you to wisdom and compassion. Something like, "Right now, in this busy place, I choose to breathe." Or, "May I work with a clear mind and a kind heart." When you open your eyes, the work has not disappeared. The coworkers have not changed, but you are less like a leaf blowing in every gust of irritation. You are more like a tree still affected by the wind, but rooted. Each time you practice like this, you are rewriting the cause and effect pattern of your life. Instead of your nervous system being trained to react with stress to every noise and demand, it is being trained to return again and again to awareness. This is real spiritual training, and it can happen right at your desk. Let us talk about something even more challenging: practicing with emotional noise, especially in relationships. Imagine a couple, David and Sarah. They love each other, but their communication is full of triggers. When one speaks, the other often hears not the words, but the echo of old wounds. One evening, Sarah says, "You have been on your phone all night. I feel like we are strangers." David hears this as accusation and failure. Immediately his inner noise rises. "I work so hard, And now you are blaming me again. You never see my efforts." He responds with sharp words. Sarcasm meets sarcasm. Old arguments replay. Doors slam. Inside each of them, the real pain is simple: I feel unseen. But the noise of defensiveness and hurt drowns that message. If both of them believe that they can only communicate lovingly when they are calmed in a quiet mood, then they might wait years for that perfect moment. In the meantime, resentment hardens. But what if even this conflict could become a meditation hall? It does not mean you suddenly enjoy arguing. It means you use the moment as a chance to wake up. Next time, when Sarah says, "You have been on your phone all night," and David feels the stab, he might remember this is emotional noise. My old patterns are about to shout. Can I pause for one breath? In that breath, he might notice his pounding heart, his clenched fists, his urge to defend. He might recognize, I am hearing her as if she is my critical parent, not as my partner who is lonely. If he manages even once to say, "I hear that you feel like a stranger. I do not want that. I am just exhausted," instead of attacking, then in that moment, their living room becomes a meditation hall. Awareness and compassion have entered. It might not go smoothly. Old habits are strong, but each time, one of them remembers to pause, to listen, to soften even a little, the destiny of their relationship shifts. This is not romantic advice. This is the direct application of spiritual practice using noise, pain, and confusion as signals to wake up instead of excuses to shut down. Now, you might be thinking, all of this sounds beautiful, but in real life, I forget, I get swept away, I react first and only remember to be aware afterward. Does that mean I am failing at practice? Absolutely not. In fact, that moment of remembering afterward is already practice. At the beginning, your awareness often comes late. You explode, then later think, I wish I had paused. You suffer for 3 days, then realize, I have been feeding this story in my mind. The gap between event and awareness is long. With time and repetition, that gap shrinks. Maybe you notice after 1 day, then after 1 hour, then after 10 minutes. Eventually, you start to notice right in the middle. One day, you might notice even just before you would have reacted. That is where destiny changes. Awakening is not a light switch you flip once. It is more like the slow dawn. At first, the sky is dark. Then you notice a faint glow. Then shapes become clearer. Then colors. Night and day are separated by countless small changes in light. Your mind is the same. Darkness and light, confusion and wisdom are not all or nothing. Every time you notice an automatic reaction, you are increasing the light. Every time you choose a kinder option, you are moving toward compassion. Every time you remember that this noisy world is your training ground, you are stepping into your destiny as a practitioner. Let us also talk about the deeper spiritual dimension of practicing everywhere. If you think practice only happens in formal settings, you risk creating a split in your life. On one side is spiritual me, sitting on a cushion, chanting, reading sacred words. On the other side is ordinary me commuting, sending emails, getting irritated, scrolling through social media. Over time, this split can become painful. You might start to feel fake. You might notice that you are gentle in the temple and harsh in the taxi, humble during retreats and arrogant in meetings. The great teachings say that real awakening dissolves this split. The same mind that bows to a statue should also bow inwardly to the human beings around you. The same awareness that watches the breath in meditation should also watch the breath when you speak, walk, and eat. When you let every place become a meditation hall, you are healing this split. You are saying, there is no such place as outside my practice. My practice is my life. This naturally brings you closer to compassion. When you see the whole city as your meditation hall, every person you meet becomes, in a sense, part of your sangha, your community of practice. The stranger who bumps into you becomes a teacher of patience. The taxi driver who tells you his life story becomes a teacher of empathy. The child crying on the plane becomes a teacher of acceptance. You begin to feel that you are walking through a living web of causes and conditions, not a cold, random universe. Your sense of destiny shifts from things just happen to me to everything that appears can be used for awakening. This does not mean you should force yourself to love abusive situations. Wisdom also includes setting boundaries and leaving genuinely harmful environments when possible. But even the process of recognizing harm, setting boundaries, and choosing safety can be done with awareness and compassion instead of hatred and unconsciousness. We cannot talk about this topic without touching on the question of fate and choice. Many people think, my life is busy, noisy, painful. That is my fate. Some people are lucky. They can retreat in practice. I cannot. Therefore, my spiritual destiny is limited. From the perspective of cause and effect, your external situation is indeed the result of many causes: family, society, economics, health, past actions. Some things are very hard to change, but within those conditions, there is always one small, powerful area of freedom: how you use your mind. Whether you live in a tiny apartment or a big house, whether you ride the bus or drive a car, whether your body is strong or weak, you can still choose to use each moment as practice or to live completely on autopilot. This choice, repeated thousands of times, is what shapes the deeper arc of your destiny. Someone who uses 10 years of noisy city life to train awareness, patience, and compassion may advance much further on the path than someone who spends 10 years in a quiet place but uses the silence to daydream and escape. Awakening is not about where you use it, it is about how you see. As we move toward the end of this long reflection, I want to speak to you not as a voice on a screen, but as a fellow traveler. Maybe your life right now feels exactly like the opposite of a meditation hall. Maybe you share a small space with other people and have no privacy. Maybe you are sandwiched between caring for children and parents. Maybe you live next to a busy road, or under a flight path, or in an apartment where neighbors fight loudly. Maybe your own mind is so noisy with worry and self-criticism that you think, quiet is impossible for me. If that is your reality, please know this: your path is not less spiritual than anyone else's. In some ways, it may be even more powerful, because every step you take toward awareness is taken on shaking ground. When you are exhausted but still choose to breathe consciously for 3 minutes instead of numbing out completely, that is a real act of practice. When your body hurts, but you stay with it gently instead of instantly distracting yourself, that is real courage. When you feel emotionally overwhelmed, but you whisper to yourself, this, too, is a wave, and I will not drown it in addictions, that is real wisdom. When you get annoyed by noise, but then remember, this sound can be my bell, and you relax even a little bit, that is real training. You do not need to wait for a mountain temple to live a spiritual life. The mountain is already inside you, in the stillness that watches your thoughts. The temple is already inside you, in the place where you sincerely wish for awakening, wisdom, compassion, and freedom from suffering for yourself and all beings. City noise will come and go. Physical pain will come and go. Emotional storms will come and go. Your destiny does not depend on whether you can avoid them. It depends on whether you use them. So the next time you are stuck in traffic, or lying awake with a restless mind, or sitting on a bench with the chaos of the city around you, try this simple experiment. Take one slow breath. Feel your feet, your hands, your heartbeat. Listen to the sounds not as enemies, but as part of the living world. Notice the discomfort in your body and mind. And instead of pushing it away, say inwardly, "You, too, are part of my practice." In that moment, the bus, the street, the noisy apartment, the restless mind all become part of your meditation hall. You are not waiting for awakening to happen somewhere else. You are walking toward it, step by step, exactly where you are. Before you leave, I would love to hear from you. Have you ever had an experience where a noisy, uncomfortable, or painful situation unexpectedly turned into a moment of deep insight or calm? Have you ever realized, maybe later, that something you thought was blocking your practice was actually training you? If you feel safe to share, your story might be the encouragement someone else needs to keep going in their own noisy life. If this video companion resonated with you, if it helped you see your city, your pain, and your daily mess as possible allies on the path of awakening, please support this channel. You can subscribe, click like, leave a comment about what touched you most, or consider becoming a member so we can keep creating long, in-depth explorations like this. Most importantly, after you close this video, do one small thing to make everywhere practice real. Maybe it is 3 conscious breaths while listening to traffic. Maybe it is feeling your feet as you walk down the hallway. Maybe it is sitting with one uncomfortable feeling for 1 minute longer than usual. In that small act, your ordinary life and your spiritual path become the same road, and every place you go begins to turn, quietly, into a meditation hall. Every person carries a certain energy. Your focus, your dreams, your purpose. Bracelet is a physical reminder of that energy. Symbol you wear daily, that pushes you to stay grounded, balanced, and aligned. If one of the bracelets caught your eye, you can order it through the link in the description and check more powerful styles on our homepage store. Choose the one that strengthens your journey.